Sukoi, greetings, I am Tad Larkin, the lore master of Manda-LORE, and today I'll be digging through the archives to elaborate on the Skye Dark Jedi, Kharys. Kharys was a Force-sensitive female Skye, born on the Outer Rim world of Skye around 33 years before the Battle of Yavin, to Claremere, the patriarch of the Windborn clan and ruler of Skye. Though Kharys' mother died in childbirth, her father made sure to take her under his wing and prepare the young Kharys for her eventual ascension to Magistrix of Skye. When the Clone Wars broke out in 22 BBY, Skye, known in the Galactic Registry as Marat 5, came under the influence of the nascent Confederacy of Independent Systems, when Zeta Magnus, an agent of Count Dooku, set up his base of operations on the world, calling himself the Tyrant of Skye. An Arcanian genetic experiment himself, Magnus began conducting his own experiments on the native Skye, transforming many of them into grotesque, bloodthirsty beasts, meanwhile starving the rest of the Skye population, hoping to bend them to his will. It wouldn't be until around 20 BBY when aid would finally come to Skye, in the forms of Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi, his Padawan Anakin Skywalker, and another Padawan temporarily in his care, Halagad Ventur, who were initially sent to investigate the destruction of a MedStar frigate sent to the world to alleviate the famine. With the help of the Jedi, Claremere, Kharys, and Claremere's most loyal guard, Ara, led an uprising of the Skye Windborn against Zeta Magnus' forces. However, Claremere was killed in the battle, and, dying in her arms, left the 13-year-old Kharys as the new planetary leader. Following Magnus' defeat and the liberation of Skye, Anakin, who had discovered Kharys' Force sensitivity during the battle, promised that after the war was over, he'd return to train her in the ways of the Jedi, after his master refused to let him bring her back with them to the Jedi Temple, and patiently, she waited. Skywalker fulfilled his promise. However, when he returned to Skye, he did so not as a Jedi Knight of the Republic, but as a Lord of the Sith and executor of the newly formed Galactic Empire, and instead of instructing Kharys in the ways of the Jedi, he trained her to use the dark side of the Force. Already strong in the Force as she had proved during the war, Kharys was a quick study, and not only did she excel in the unnatural powers of the dark side, but she also became a capable duelist, developing her own lightsaber combat style, Trisp Zest, suitable for the aerial dueling her species was used to. Now a Dark Jedi trained by Darth Vader himself, Kharys was given command of her own Imperial stormtroopers, and taking up her seat of power in Zeta Magnus' old fortress, she stylized herself the new Tyrant of Skye, and she ruled over the planet in Vader's name. By 1 BBY, Skye was completely closed off from the rest of the galaxy, only serving as a base of operations for the Imperial forces in the Verada sector, when soon-to-be famous smuggler Han Solo with 20 or so other smugglers arrived on Skye thinking it would be a good business venture. They thought wrong, and Kharys hunted them down one by one. Only Solo and his friend Katya Mumbuil survived. Shortly after the historic Battle of Yavin, Solo was traveling with Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, the droids, and his faithful Wookiee companion, visiting the bazaars of Tehran, when Luke had an encounter with Kharys, and was wounded by her hired Katuman mercenaries. Back on board the Millennium Falcon, Solo's old friend Katya was in the neighborhood, and stopped by to say hello, but when Luke and Leia came back from the bazaar, her and Solo's worst fears were realized. Kharys was on Tehran. Solo bade them stay on board the Falcon while he attempted to track down who sold them out to Kharys. Meanwhile, Kharys used the dark side to conjure a smoke demon that infiltrated the Falcon in the night and killed Katya while she slept, only being subdued by the combined efforts of Leia, Luke, and Chewbacca. Discovering the death of his friend upon his return, Solo blasted the Falcon out of the spaceport and made a beeline for the Marat system, and his not-so-carefully thought-out plan to confront Kharys himself got even more challenging when the Falcon was shot down by a squadron of TIE fighters. Luke, Leia, and the droids escaped in one of the Falcon's life pods, while Solo and Chewie attempted to land the out-of-control YT-1300 freighter. He and the Wookiee were taken captive by Kharys' forces, while Leia and Luke were taken into custody by the Skye Tree. Skye Walker and Organa were brought before the Skye Tree High Council by Ara, now leader of the Windborn clan since Kharys' ascension, and though they were originally to face a death sentence for trespassing, upon hearing Luke's surname, the council was convinced that he was part of the prophecy of the Chosen One, embellished by his father Anakin on his visit to Skye 20 years prior. As they had done with Anakin and Obi-Wan, Ara and the Windborn clan swore an oath to Luke and Leia if they helped them topple the Tyrant of Skye, and, wishing to free their friends from Kharys' clutches, they agreed. Donning anti-grav belts and wingsuits, Luke and Leia were escorted by the Skye Tree to Kharys' fortress, and while Leia branched off to rescue Han and Chewbacca, Luke and Kharys engaged in an epic aerial lightsaber duel. Luke, being very much still a novice at this point in his life, most certainly would have been defeated by Kharys had it not been for two factors: her overconfidence and the distraction of the Skye Tree watching from the sidelines, and with that, Luke was able to strike her down. Thus, the brief, tragic life of the Magistrix of Skye was ended. Perhaps if she were taken to the Jedi Temple, her life would have ended differently, but instead she was taught to channel her rage from the loss of her father by a misguided teacher, and became the very evil she once fought to destroy. This transmission was commissioned by Wirefox Terrier on Patreon. If you have any suggestions for future transmissions, don't be afraid to drop a comment. Special thanks to my patrons: Wildcat144, The Grand Pope, Zexend, JTrips1997, Wirefox Terrier, AJ Can't Think of a Good Pun Right Now, Dave the Grave, Zim the Despot, Matt Patton, Hawk2274, Cal Scarada, Nate Legends Fan 95, Angry Mutt, JJ Plagiarisms, Chris Evans, and Mayo4. If you'd like to support this channel, and perhaps even commission your own video topic, please visit my Patreon to find out how. Link is in the description. In the meantime, keep your comm channels open for future transmissions, and don't forget to subscribe. Tad Larkin, out.